Hello, I'm Rod Machnacum, Chief Negotiator to the Laich-Kwil-Tach Treaty Society. The Treaty Society has three members, We Wai Kai, which is the Cape Mudge Indian Band, Wei Wai Kum, the Camel River Indian Band, and Kwiakah Indian Band. We have approximately 2,000 citizens. I'm a Laich-Kwil-Tach citizen of the We Wai Kai tribe. Today, we're going to be showing a film of our territories. It's been demanded from our citizens, particularly those that haven't had the opportunity to travel our territory. I've been fortunate to be able to do quite a bit of traveling of it as I grew up on a fishing boat, and most of my generation have done so. And we fished all the way through Johnson Straits and through the inlets and made a living there. Our territory is very large. It's about 2.2 million hectares, or about 8,600 square miles. 89% of it is land mass, 11% of it is tidal waters. And it starts around the Knights Inlet area, goes over to Port Neville, and Adams River, all the way down the Vancouver Island side here to Parksville, and then up the channel, all the way up to Butte Inlet, and all the way through all of the islands in between there. We are going to start the film at Kwiakah, where we have many legends coming from, particularly our flood story. And so here we go.
Wo ya, wo ye, wo ye.
Nuyamita walas usa tikamai weke laha walas usa pasa. Hey, mita dik family jaisla wekai. Ahanu ketaklikam. Mihane wekai. Yahani sasusa. Inti dikama. Walas akida pasa. As we get. Wana sida. Allah mwak misa hispak kuswat. Walas sakida pasa. O mistitalan nista o my hayulis o was his nahwa waters.
Sa kuna give from the we wallace Kwiakah. We do skill dinas. He's all on questions sikukor.
Namu watu sikilta dinas. Nahawalas nige. Nakemida dinam. Nakasumina kwis. La nifla hispachus kamo makudes sakatla huakwana haslemu huatus laha walas nage la kastan la kiamida tanam lach awigna gusas. Lam hasida yaham wilida bahus laha kudkwakwana la hashina.
Enemy hemextakwas kiutila kiuk and Laich-Kwil.
Yaksamida nala, Watsala, Kihoida Mak, Kwakwana. Sahidi Danam Kwakwana Laha Gwena, Kidamet, Aisala, Sahida Danam Laha Maka, Elamida Wastam, Namakis, Lawida Aisala, no Maka. Hem.
Our history states that our ancestor Wei Kai came down from the sky at Kwiakah in Jackson Bay. It is here where he tied to the mountain Laich-Kwil-Tach during the flood and saved our people from perishing in the waters. Kwiakah was a large, thriving village as late as the 20th century, right next to Reed Creek. We had totem poles near the entrance to Jackson Bay and at the village. The Laich-Kwil-Tach have always retained a connection to Kwiakah despite Canada's unwillingness to make it into an Indian reserve. We always used the fishing grounds in the area, and more recently we conducted youth and elder camps with the theme of reviving our old cultural ties. At the entrance to Jackson Bay, there is a small island. Our ancestors commonly used small islands like this to place the deceased. From Kwiakah, our people spread throughout the territory, expanding southward and northward over time. Kwiakah was once a large and thriving village. Our people lived here until about 1916, before they moved to Campbell River and Cape Mudge. Until then, it was common for the Matmatla to stop and trade. One of our villages on the Salmon River was reserved to us in 1886. However, it was transferred to the Comox Indian Band in the 1940s when one of our tribes, the Wallitsum, amalgamated with the Comox First Nation. Our people had a village at Matlaton. It is currently an Indian reserve with 39 hectares. Matlaton is located close to the intersection of Main Passage and Cordero Channel, opposite of Greenpoint and Greenpoint Rapids. This is a rich resource area known for its abundant salmon and bottom fish. Its location is well sheltered on flat land rising to the mountains behind. Deposits of clam and mussel can also be found in the area. Charles Bay, just to the south of Matlaton, is Laich-Kwil-Tach. Our people had a fish trap here that is more than 1,800 years old. This was never approved to be reserve and is now Crown land. Kwiakah, now known primarily as Grassy Creek, is on the east side of Lochburl Inlet. We had an old winter village here until the people moved to Matlaton at Green Point and eventually to Campbell River. Grassy Creek abounded with game of every description, and the waters teemed with fish of various kinds. This belongs to the Campbell River Indian Band. 2 petroglyphs were recorded there, but have been removed, mostly due to the logging, as there was plenty of timber there. There is a large shell midden there, marking the location of our ancestors' homes. Hayden Bay, Homeno Indian Reserve Number 2, is a 15.4 hectare reserve located at the head of Hayden Bay on the west side of Lochburl Inlet. It belongs to the Campbell River Indian Band. Homeno was important because of the salmon runs in the river, but we also hunted in the area. There was a village with 20 houses here still in the early 1900s. Many of our families that lived here had children that attended the school here, while their parents worked in McMillan and Blodell logging camps based nearby. There is still an active attachment to the river, as the Campbell River Indian Band monitors the salmon stocks from year to year. Apple River is at the head of Lochburl Inlet on the east side of the inlet. As documented by the Spanish in 1792, there was a village here. At that time, the entrance to the channel was blocked by a fish trap or weir. Canoes approached the Spanish trying to trade otters and fish, but there was confusion that prevented this from happening. We tried to obtain a reserve here and the first reserve commissioner, Gilbert Malcolm Sprout, allotted one, but wasn't approved by the subsequent commissioner, Peter O'Reilly. The site was wanted as a fishing and hunting station. Matsino was a large village located at the head of Phillips Arm on the east side of the river. A 48-hectare reserve named Matsino No. 5 was allocated to the Kwiakah Indian Band here. Matsino was the principal village site of the Kwiakah and the Tlawis. The village was noted to be one of the largest Laich-Kwil-Tach villages until it was decimated by diseases and wars in the early 1800s. The river had a valuable fishery and game was plentiful in the neighborhood. For example, mountain goats were hunted in the mountains around Phillips Lake. During the McKenna-McBride Royal Commission in 1914, our people requested that the reserve be expanded to include the whole length of the river and the beach, as the people lived on all of this area. There is a strong interest from the Laich-Kwil-Tach for fishing through the changing times into commercial fishing, as there was a strong sockeye run from the Phillips Arm system. It is well known for its fish traps, and today there is wildlife viewing in the general area. We are now looking at the petroglyphs at Gomer Island, near Frederick's Arm. They must be viewed from the water today. They contain messages sent from the ancestors that will no doubt last many more generations to come. Our village of Sayoke, now known as Sayoke Indian Reserve No. 6, is located close to Erin Rapids, opposite to the north end of Stewart Island. This reserve, 20.8 hectares, was originally allocated to both the Wei Wai Kum and the Kwiakah, but is now allocated to the Kwiakah Indian Band. It was used as a village site and a fishing station by the Tlawis, a Laich-Kwil-Tach group that joined the Kwiakah. It was noted for fresh herring and was traded for nails in the early 1800s. Also traded was geese, deerskin, octopus, and chitin. Our village of Yaquin was allocated as Village Bay Indian Reserve No. 7. It was set aside for the Cape Mudge Indian Band and is a reserve of 4.11 hectares on the northeast side of Village Bay. It was an important chum fishing site. An abundant supply of fish for the winter was obtained here, as the low-fat content of chum salmon make it ideal for smoking and drying for the winter. Open Bay. Our village of Tlach-Wyman, or Open Bay Indian Reserve No. 8, is held by the Cape Mudge Indian Band. This reserve is 5.2 hectares. Like at Village Bay, the small river here provided our families with an excellent chum fishery. Families stayed in 2 houses that were here when doing their fish. Hyacinth Bay is on the east side of Quadra Island, with Harriet Bay on the south entrance. Indian agent Sprout recommended a reserve here, but it was never approved. It was important to the Laich-Kwil-Tach for the early chum fishery, clams, cockles, oysters, and herring that spawn on the shores. These resources kept the people to this location, and it was well known as a temporary village for these food supplies. Today, numerous fish traps in Hyacinth Bay stand in testimony to its importance as a fishing place. Well known for its Laich-Kwil-Tach settlement and use, Drew Harbor Indian Reserve No. 9 is held by the Cape Mudge Indian Band, consisting of 96.6 hectares. The end of the spit area was expropriated by the Department of Defense during the First World War. It was to be used as a naval training area. It was never returned to reserve status, but instead became a provincial park. The whole area was used for food gathering, a permanent village site, and an early battleground. In later years, the site was used by the Laich-Kwil-Tach as a fishing village and a logging camp. It is well known today for its camping grounds and is used from time to time by the Laich-Kwil-Tach for cultural gatherings. Granite Bay, also known as Canish Bay, is located on the northwestern side of Kwiakah Island. Originally occupied by the Comox, then taken over by the Laich-Kwil-Tach tribes, there's a large shell midden in the bay today. It was a winter village where lots of potlatching happened. Food here was known in the spring for its herring, clams, chitin, cockles, oysters, huckleberries, blueberries, chum, and pink salmon. In more recent times, we fished for passing salmon as sockeye headed for the Fraser River. There is also numerous loxiway or clam garden in Granite Bay. Deepwater Bay is halfway up the west side of Kwiakah Island, just north of the Seymour Narrows, and is well known for its fishing. It has been a favorite area of the Laich-Kwil-Tach to catch fish despite the absence of a significant salmon-bearing river, and it is the only place a non-commercial fishing boundary was placed without there being a river to protect. The fish traps in Deepwater Bay and in Plumper Bay, just to the south, likely targeted the Fraser sockeye. Gallon Harbor is located on the west side of Kwiakah, about 3 miles north of Cape Mudge and south of Seymour Narrows. It is known for a battle where the Laich-Kwil-Tach ambushed the Haida, forcing them off the cliff to their death. We are told of many potlatches held here. At these potlatches, we had a covered canoe that went underwater and resurfaced as 2 large rocks in the canoe were rolled from one end to the other, making it sink, then resurface to mimic a whale swimming. With the rope tied to each end of the canoe, it was pulled from Kwiakah Island to an island at the mouth of Gallon Harbor, diving and resurfacing as it went. Guanuspe, or Kwatiaski Cove, is located on the west side of Kwiakah Island, opposite of Campbell River and just north of Cape Mudge Village. It is a well-protected harbor and was always used as a place to stop. It employed many of the Laich-Kwil-Tach in the cannery and in its fishing fleets. These companies had a large influence on the Laich-Kwil-Tach as our fishing transformed into a commercial industry that saw the Laich-Kwil-Tach as among the best fishers on the coast. Now for Taqualutan. Cape Mudge is on the southwestern side of Kwiakah Island. The Cape Mudge Indian Reserve number 10 is just under 458 hectares. The area was rich with sea resources 12 months of the year. The reserve is large enough to have a selective logging program for its timber, an economic activity that has been carried out for the better part of the 1900s to today. The new Yumbalese Cultural Center is located in the middle of the village. It houses items confiscated from the Laich-Kwil-Tach families in 1922 during the potlatch ban. In the 1860s, a gunboat was dispatched to Cape Mudge to apprehend a man for murder. Rather than give the man up, a gunfight ensued. Because of attacks on other tribes and even Fort Langley, the Laich-Kwil-Tach were seen as a threat on the coast. Race Point on the south side of Seymour Narrows is an excellent lookout point that was used to see travelers from the north and from the south. With this great vantage point and treacherous waters combined, the Laich-Kwil-Tach were able to control their territory. Menzies Bay, just south of Seymour Narrows on Vancouver Island, had a village site for the Laich-Kwil-Tach, as there were plenty of berries, crabs, halibut, sea urchins, and cod in the surrounding area. 300 to 400 Laich-Kwil-Tach camped on each side of Moen Creek for pinks and cohos. However, the fishing has greatly diminished since the start of logging. There was a village at Middle Point, just north of Campbell River. Popaqualis means in the middle. Many people who traveled here for fishing would camp at Middle Point for their stay. Duncan Bay. The Laich-Kwil-Tach name for Duncan Bay is Gwaagwamlis, which means a bay facing north. It was a good place to fish halibut and seal. It's now a site occupied by a facility for the pulp mill. Before this, it had a nice beach and a good creek that ran into the passage, and all the tribes camped at the mouth of the stream. The Campbell River Indian Reserve number 11 consists of 111.5 hectares and is located in Campbell River. The Laich-Kwil-Tach called this place Tlamaltach, meaning place of houses. The reserve at the mouth of the Campbell River, where the estuary was always teeming with wildlife and fish. It gained an international reputation for its taiis, the largest Chinook salmon. The site was traditionally used by the Laich-Kwil-Tach for smoking fish. Now it is a thriving village surrounded by the city of Campbell River. The name of our big house is Kwanwatsi. It is a central location used by our Laich-Kwil-Tach families today. Here is the Tlanaquila that has seen many journeys, right next to the carving shed where our talented artists work. We have a soccer history here with great players and great tournaments. Here's a look at the estuary critical for the river. Seaplanes come and go today. There is also a lot of commercial retail development. On the buildings is an array of our traditional art. Both the Thunderbird Hall and the administration buildings remain central places for meetings. The Quinsam Prairie has always been important to the Laich-Kwil-Tach as the hunting grounds for its abundant deer. The Quinsam Indian Reserve number 12, 121 hectares, was the last reserve set aside for the Laich-Kwil-Tach and is held by the Cape Mudge Indian Band. But today, it has grown into a fully serviced community with commercial developments.
I hope you enjoyed the film. You know, on behalf of the Council of Chiefs, the Board of Directors, the staff of the Laich-Kwil-Tach Treaty Society, we'd like to thank the elders for sharing their knowledge and helping to make this film. Atligay Fisheries Society for their services to film the village sites. The film crew of the Nyamblis Cultural Center worked many hours to get the film done. The board of directors of the Cultural Center for agreeing to take the project on. The research department of the Treaty Society provided a lot of information, was very helpful. Once again, thank you very much for watching the film and hope you enjoyed it. Kwiakah.